Hello, this is the West Country Tonight. Our top story this evening, Fred Wedlock, the unlikely pop star and much-loved presenter, has died at the age of 67.
Fred was one of the nicest people you'll ever wish to meet, and he'll be sadly missed by me. I love the guy.
Good evening. He'll be remembered for the oldest swinger in town, but he was much more than just a comedy pop sensation. Fred Wedlock was a loved presenter and entertainer on dozens of programmes in the West Country. He died this morning of a heart attack. Peter Rao looks back at a life now that brought joy to so many.
He can't see as well as he could, can't my barber?
It's way too easy to say that a performer is legendary. But around these here parts, you know, there's no doubt that Fred Wedlock was a real legend.
You're the oldest swinger in town.
It's for this song, which he wrote in 1981 and which got to number 6 in the charts, that's Fred on Top of the Pops, that he'll be best remembered. But the oldest swinger in town was also one of our most popular and versatile entertainers. Born in Bristol in 1942, Fred had the best start for an entertainer. He was born and brought up in a pub. In fact, his first performance was at the age of 4 to the customers.
In a disco bar.
I actually met Fred about 30 years ago on a radio show, and later in life I got to know him through our work in the Variety Club together, and Fred was always first to come forward to help the cause. He would perform without, you know, you only had to ask him.
Here's to the port of Bristol ship.
And he was there, first volunteer to get up on stage. And he was always really, really entertaining. Very talented, Fred was.
So weigh the anchor, yo-hee.
The jokes, I mean, I've worked with lots of comedians over the years, and you know every gag going, but Fred was always very original with his stories. A few years ago he performed at my 50th birthday party, which I could have had anybody, but Fred was the guy we wanted because he was obviously a friend and people like his humour.
Fred not only loved his music and his comedy, but also his sport, and in particular, his beloved Bristol City. His dad and uncle played for the team, as did his granddad, Billy Wedlock, who also captained England. Ironically, the last television Fred watched was last night's England match against Egypt.
Very sad news, and whenever a Bristol City fan dies, it's sad news for the club and also very sad news for their family. But in Fred's case, I mean, one of the great Bristol City names of all time, and himself a massive supporter, and did a huge amount of work for the club over a very long period, and it's very, very sad news, and obviously our condolences very much with his family.
In a career of nearly 50 years, he was a folk singer, musician, comedian, actor, and for all of us here, one of our most popular television presenters, working on programmes like The Good Neighbour Show.
Fred, he was funny, he was a teacher, you know, he was a musician, a lyricist, just a great all-rounder, certainly not a one-hit wonder, and he's going to be greatly missed.
Fred's website shows that he was still very much in demand, in fact looking forward to performances well into next year. But recently Fred had been unwell with pneumonia and went into hospital on Monday, and it was there that he suffered a heart attack this morning and died at the age of 67. He leaves a widow, 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren, and like me and all of us here, many, many fans.
Peter Rao there remembering Fred Wedlock. In other news, the bodies of 2 soldiers from the West Country killed in Afghanistan have been flown back to Wiltshire. Rifleman Martin Kingott and Rifleman Carlos Apolis were both serving with 4 rifles when they were killed. Crowds lined the streets of Wootton Bassett as their coffins passed. Martin Kingott's friends and family paid tribute to him.
I've had a lot of troubles in my life, and when I didn't have no one to talk to, Martin was always there. I lived with him for a little while when I had nowhere to stay. He was just a diamond geezer. There's nothing more you can say about it, really.
He's a hero in all of our eyes and always will be a hero to the end of the day.
Tributes from Rifleman Kingott's friends. Protesters marched through Thornbury tonight to try and stop a new nuclear power station being built near the town. Land next to the existing station at Oldbury has been earmarked for a new power plant, but protesters say its huge cooling towers would dominate the surrounding countryside.
There's going to be massive cooling towers up to 200 metres high, as the developers E.ON even tell us, admit to us. And there could be up to 4 of those. It will destroy views across from the Wye Valley and up in the Cotswolds.
The country's facing an energy gap with closing power stations. At the same time, we've got to tackle climate change, which means reducing carbon dioxide emissions. Albury's got a good nuclear basis. There's a nuclear power station already here. There's people with the skills. There's connection to the national grid. But it's very early days. At the moment, what we're doing is talking about what we're proposing. There's plenty of time for the public to have their say before any decisions will be made.
Finally tonight, the mystery of who stole a 7-foot stuffed gorilla from Bristol City Museum 54 years ago has been solved. It turns out that these students at Bristol University kidnapped Alfred the ape for 3 days. One of the thieves who took these photos and kept them secret in a scrapbook. Cheeky monkeys. Time now to take a look at the weather. Here's Alex.
ITV West Regional Weather. Sponsored by Braces Bread. Enough said.
Hello again. We've all enjoyed a pleasant day across the west with a decent amount of sunny spells, and that's the way it will be staying over the next few days. Fine, dry and settled. Fairly cold at night, so do expect a few nighttime frosts. It's all because of the pressure pattern at the moment. We've got the high sitting out towards the west over the Atlantic and parts of Ireland, and over the next few days that will begin to move closer in across parts of the UK. Tomorrow we'll have this cold front sinking southwards. That's likely to introduce some cloud later on in the afternoon. The start of the day will be very pleasant, as you'll see in just a second. So outside at the moment is nothing but clear skies. Quite a nice night for looking at the stars. The temperature dipping below freezing, so it will be fairly frosty during the early hours. This will lead us into a very nice start tomorrow. Quite cold, but very sunny indeed. Wall-to-wall sunshine. It's in the afternoon when things do take a bit of a change. We'll have this cloud sinking southwards, so for parts of Gloucestershire and Wiltshire it will turn on the dull side, but for Dorset and Somerset staying bright with patchy cloud and sunny spells. On to your outlook. Well, it is going to be fairly settled on Saturday. Patchy cloud and sunny spells. Even better on Sunday, similar again on Monday, a little bit more in the way of cloud, quite breezy at times as well. Good night.
Sponsored by Braces Bread. Enough said.
That's the news in the West Country this evening. Trevor McDonald is on next with Car Crime UK. From me, though, and the rest of the late team, good night.